Hello there. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. I just realized I think the camera's a little closer than usual, so let me double check the focus. So I think it's okay. Anyway, so how's everybody doing? Happy one anniversary. Yeah, it's my astroversary. Um, I'll, I'll explain in a moment. Hello, Mark Young. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's my I don't remember when I didn't look up to see when I actually created this YouTube channel. It was probably at least a couple of years ago or more. Actually, I'm kind of curious now. How long did I create it? Okay, I created it 3 years ago, but I hadn't really posted any videos on it, and or I'd posted like a handful of videos, and then like a couple of them like last January 2023, and then really didn't do much with it. And then a year ago today, I decided I was going to kind of focus on astronomy instead of just making it completely random, which it was before. And it wasn't consistent either. And so I posted a video, which I'll show a little later. I mean, it's nothing exciting, but it was a time lapse of the partial solar eclipse from last year, last October. And so, and even then, like I posted maybe one or two videos in November, and then I did some live streams and some videos starting, I think, in December and January. And so, yeah, so I've been trying to be, like I say, it's been a year since kind of the channel in its current form. I mean, before then, there was literally how many videos were on here? Because some of them I never really deleted any of them. They're like out there, but um, what do you call it? Unlisted. Actually, I don't think I posted anything on the channel. Um, actually, wow, it's even further back than I thought. I posted a handful of just random things in February and June, July last year. Like, um, yeah, and two of them I kept, like the first two I kept um on the video history from February last year, but nothing was astronomy related. And so yeah, it doesn't it's not quite it wasn't quite the same before. It was the before times. Oh, working of the Phantom of the Opera Nebula. Hello, Jay Kelly. Welcome to the stream. Wow, Phantom of the Opera Nebula. Don't think I've. Let me look at that. I always like kind of suggestions because they like there's so many different objects out there, and I'm just always running across new ones. Phantom of the Opera. Of course. Phantom of the Opera. Had no idea. Well, I'll have to try that. Let's see, I need to move my telescope, my computer. It's interesting. I don't even see. I think it's one of those things where you have to pick a different, oh, that's interesting. Hello, Brett. Good evening. Thanks for joining. Happy cast anniversary. Thanks, Dark Shades. Yeah, so SH2173, like I say, that was kind of a new one on me. That looks kind of faint. That looks like an interesting target, like a good challenging target. Oh, and it completely fits in the field of view even better. Hello, Stephen Fox. Welcome back. How's it going? Hope everybody's having a good evening. Yeah, so we'll get into the imaging here in a moment. I'm not gonna bore people with it, but the oh no, that was what was it? Let me see. Stellarium doesn't show the image. It's a tough app. Yeah, when I went in and picked the DSS survey, it showed up, but in the default view, it doesn't show up at all. So I'm gonna try it out. Oh right, Stephen Fox, our afternoon. I forgot about that. Network. Seestar sets up a point-to-point link even in station mode. What's the best way to connect to the Seestar and Pi? I mean, for me, I prefer station mode. I mean, in a pinch, I'll use kind of the point-to-point self-hosted connection, but otherwise, I always try to use station mode because I've run into some quirks if I try to do both. So generally, I prefer station mode, and I feel like the range might be better with that. I'm not sure, but it's definitely more flexible. It's definitely a lot more flexible to have station mode. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's not. This isn't the most exciting thing. I'll just show the. I'll show it and then, or the beginning of it, and I'll drop a link. But this was an ad. No, this was sorry, this was literally the first video I posted. It was just a time lapse of the partial solar eclipse, and it looks like this would be so easy to do with the Seestar. But what I did was I used a sun tracking mount, the Star Adventurer Solar Quest mount, and I basically had an intervalometer on my mirrorless camera, a 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and I just kind of had to take a photo every few seconds. And because the solar tracking mount has a little bit of slop on it, the footage was actually a lot worse as far as the sun was like all over the place. So I actually ended up, since they were photos, I was able to let me cancel that out. Since they were photos, I was able to crop in a lot for video. So that wasn't a problem, but I ended up having to run, I forget the name of the software. It was like, what's the name of it? It's a real popular program for solar stacking and stuff. Not AstroStacker, not SharpCap. It was like was it? I forget the name of it, but was this it? No. Basically, it was it was good for that purpose. And anyway, I ended up doing a bunch of scripts and trying to align the frames so that the sun was basically in the same position for the whole video, and then kind of generated a rough video of it and then brought it into DaVinci, the free version of DaVinci Resolve, and like tweaked it and tried to, you know, smooth it out even more. Because it has, what do you call it, like image stabilization in there. So then I did another round of it to try to really stabilize it. And yeah, so the eclipse was like on the 14th of October, and I posted it on the 23rd of October. So it took me 9 days, but I was working on it like for several days, and it's like a 1 minute video. It was ridiculous. I felt like I should have done a much better job, but it was kind of a practice run in a way of testing some equipment that I planned on using on the total solar eclipse that ended up being this past April. Yeah. Yeah. Network is essential, basically. Yeah. And live, you got to have bandwidth. Oh, nice. Able to see some comet frames. A big week for, well, I guess it depends on when you last saw it. I mean, there were a bunch of there was a bunch of functionality added, some of which applies to specific use cases. Some of it I haven't, like I showed some of it, I think the last live stream, but there's been a lot of changes, but some of it's maybe not like completely kind of visible, flashy kind of changes. But yeah, before I forget, if you're watching this, don't forget to like the video. That it helps the channel a lot, and I do appreciate it. Yeah, so the telescopes are running. So what I was going to do is basically just kind of get to it. At least starting, I haven't done anything with either one right now. I just set them outside, and I was going to do the relatively new, like within the last week, startup sequence where if you don't use the app before, you had to go through a couple of steps, or you'd have to start imaging a target manually and then cancel it. But this way, it just kind of kicks off a few different things, and including raising the arm, so it's got to be unparked, autofocuses on a target, does the horizontal calibration, and then shoots the initial dark frames, which will help with the noise reduction. So I can't, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and kick that off. Yeah, and you could, yeah, so there were a couple of bumps on the release. There was it was 2.2, and then there was a 2.1 or 2.2.1, and then that had a couple of outstanding bugs. And so now it's on 2.2.2, came out today. I think there's a couple of remaining things, but I think it's produced a discussion on, should we kind of let it marinate a little bit longer, in the words of one of the developers, before tagging a release, or at least tagging it as a beta release, which is kind of what it ended up being. Because it's inevitable. Like you write a bunch of new code, and you either forget about the bugs because you were working around them, or there are bugs that just don't affect your workflow, and then you release it, and then someone hits a bug immediately. That's always kind of, I mean, it's frustrating for everybody. So, yeah, we were talking about kind of, yeah, how to improve things. There are some things I know that have been on your list, Cosmic Array, not functionality related, that I want to highlight here in a bit. The only problem is sometimes this all sky ends up. Oh, no wonder. I had shut off my. Hopefully this doesn't mess up anything. Is this still working? Okay, cool. So okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's not a destination, it's the journey. That said, yeah, we it's like I say, because of some of the hiccups on the last release, I think um it's kind of made it more apparent we need to be uh maybe like you had suggested, have like beta or development releases and then kind of more stable releases. Because, I mean, it was fine, but there was some new functionality that came out in 2.2, and we had, for various reasons, we ended up having a number of people who tried it out for the first time right afterwards, and there were a few people who had a few hiccups. So, I mean, this is venting here is not counterproductive, because I do agree it needs to be better. But so let me show you one thing that I know was something you had highlighted, and um, so there was recently a wiki kind of created. I mean, again, there's different ways we could have done this. There's sometimes it's sometimes helpful to have it in the same place that where the developers are and others are. So there's now the beginning of kind of a user guide. Um, yeah, yeah, no, and so that's true, and I need to be better about writing down some of the things I say, but yeah, there've been a number of additions to the wiki just in the last few days. Like, it was created probably a week ago, and someone added this today, and just trying to explain different sections of it. It's definitely a work in progress, but it's got kind of explains certain bits of functionality along with screenshots, which was very, I mean, again, it was just a contributor put this together today. And so we do need to put like I think there's a way to do a table of contents in GitHub markdown. So we should do that, but it's the beginning. And then there's like some FAQs, and I know there were, after the 2.2 release, there were a few people who hit like some of the same issues. And so I think that also prompted like creating the FAQ. So, who are the developer Illuminati? I mean, like, what people you can blame? No, it's not really. I mean, like, you can go look at, like, on GitHub the people who've contributed. But before I get sidetracked, oh, of course, polar line failed at 100%. What? That's interesting. Um, let's see. Okay. All right. So it's work. This one's started capturing frames. This one has not. So I need to see, what should I do with this one. I was going to you know what, I'm gonna I had started my mosaic. I'm gonna regret this if I do this. If I do the mosaic, because I might end up restarting ALP, because there was something I wanted to look into. Maybe I'll just start with um, uh, sorry, I'm looking at my list. I was thinking of doing, let's look for something that's maybe 7293. What was that? NGC 7293. I'm intrigued by this one. I might start, maybe I'll start on this one just because I'm intrigued by this one. SH2173. SH2173. So I'm just going to do this on the first one. Start image. Actually, what I can do is just pull the coordinates from Stellarium. I'll do 45 minutes, light pollution. I'm going to crank up the gain and I'll hit go. And schedule. Okay. Okay, so, oh, hello, Michael Evans. Welcome to the channel. And as far as polar aligning, it's interesting because it's like in the Seestar nomenclature, they'll call it horizontal calibration, but internally the API call is like 3 PPA, 3-point polar alignment. And yeah, so I think we've kind of, like, the naming kind of mirrors what the internal API is and what effectively it's doing, but it's also, it's the same as the horizontal calibration, basically. Live astronomy. Theoretically, it's live. I'm not on the, I just started this target and, okay. And so I can bring that up. It's doing the Phantom of the Opera Nebula, but I don't know how bright it'll be. It might be kind of faint, but I have a second telescope that I'll point at something else. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's alt azimuth. It's not polar alignment in the sense of equatorial, but it's, but it is calibrating. I mean, it's basically doing a 3-point alignment where it kind of it sweeps horizontally and then tries to plate solve 3 images or 3 points and uses that to calculate the direction it's pointing and how off level it is. And so it's effectively figuring out, it's calibrating itself for the sky. So like I say, they call it 3-point polar alignment internally. They call it in the app horizontal calibration. So yeah, I mean, it's like I say, Seestar themselves use 2 different terms for it. So we just picked one. You don't have to be nerdy to be here. You can, we just kind of, while things are imaging, we kind of go to random, we go in very random directions sometimes. Yeah, call it alignment. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no, it's a good point. Because it's like, if you're used to equatorial mounts, it's not like what you would expect, you know, like 5 hours. 5 hours for, what are you, oh, you're imaging that target for 5 hours. Wow. No, but it's kind of, I mean, there's, what is it? There's 2 hard problems in computer science: cache invalidation and naming things. So, I mean, Yeah. Oh, you know, that's no, it's no, I mean it's fine. Everybody's we have a wide variety of people on the stream. Um, Speaking of which, I need to find another target for the other telescope. Let's see what it's doing. Just want to see what is going on. That's not completely true, Cosmic Ray. I mean, it's not completely true. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I try not to spend too much time on stream with the working on code. See, sorry, this one telescope. It says it's complete. Is it still stacking? No, it's complete. I hope it still doesn't have the issue. There's some idiosyncrasies about my workflow that have caused where I run into some issues with the latest release. Most people, when they create schedules, I think they schedule a number of objects, but I do one at a time usually. So let's see if this works. I have to be reined in sometimes. Let's see. What are we going to image today? Let me, oops. Let me put this over here. So what do we want to look at? So this was a new one, the Phantom of the Opera. SH2173, Phantom of the Opera. That's the one on the left. And I think this is going to be a faint one. Although based on the coloring here, I'm guessing that's some nebulosity already. Max Smart, I like the reference. Missed it by that much. Yeah, that wasn't a good impersonation, but what's the most exciting thing about astronomy? Well, I mean, for a lot of people, it was probably the comet C2023A3, which just the name just rolls off the tongue. Cone of silence, I like that. Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the most exciting astronomy related things. If you were in a relatively dark, it didn't have to be super dark, but you couldn't be in an area where it was super light polluted like I am. Even then, with my phone, I was able to get some photos. I didn't bother even dragging out my camera because it was so the conditions were very bad. But some people who were just near me, or people who were what do you call it? Yeah, there was a lot of good photos and videos of it. I actually have this video that it showed up on my feed, and I'll post a link to it. It literally had one view when I saw it, and I was like, I like this. It's a time lapse. Let's see how many views it has now. But I thought this was cool. It was somebody posted this time lapse of the comet. I was like, that's pretty cool. But yeah. But it was that was probably the most exciting astronomy related thing. Now there's another comet coming up in the next week or two that some people were thinking might also be pretty bright, but the last I saw, um, I actually saw it on another live stream and then looked into it. It seemed like there might be problems with that. That comet might have started falling apart. Not the 2023 one, but this new one, 2024. Um, I'm trying to see. It was like A1 Atlas or something like that. Anyway, the nucleus may have started breaking apart. It's a type of comet, a sun grazer, and it may have started falling apart. Yeah, yeah. It's the comet was over quite a few nights, and it's still visible. It's just with cameras mostly, but it was naked eye visible last week, and maybe even into the weekend. I don't know. Not where I live. It was too dark, but that was pretty cool. That was probably the biggest, most interesting thing in astronomy just that wasn't like just some science story, you know. Harden the grid. What against like Aurora? Because I mean that was another thing that happened. I mean, sky wise, there was Aurora. Another, yeah, yeah, there was another one of those. Uh, a pretty large flare and produce a bunch of Aurora. But it's interesting. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they have made improvements because I remember there was like a big power outage. Was it in the late 80s or early 90s in Canada, caused by a solar flare or a solar storm? And and I remember when that earlier this year when there were the massive solar storms that they were um, talking about. Some people were talking about that actually it was a pretty there were a lot of like there was a lot of induced current at ground level, but the power grid seemed to be handling it. So there were some people who were like, maybe it has been improved. I mean, maybe because since we know more about it now and we have all these satellites that are monitoring it, like maybe they're able to preemptively kind of isolate things, you know, or something, and or maybe they just have better kind of I don't know what it would be. I'm thinking of like lightning arresters, but for like whatever they have to do to the power grid. And so I do wonder if they have made improvements because that was a pretty significant storm um, earlier this year, and yet I didn't hear of any issues with outages. Yeah, yeah. So that was another thing. Yeah, they were saying that this the new comet, the 2024. I said A1. I'm S1. Cosmic Ray corrected me, or no, he didn't. He posted the name. I made a mistake. It's S1. Anyway, because the nucleus may have deteriorated, um, it there's still be there's still debris that's producing the tail, so you could actually have a situation where it's basically a headless comet where there's a tail but there's no obvious nucleus because there's just some scattered debris that's too small to really produce a full nucleus, kind of the full effect of the nucleus, but it can still produce the tail anyway. So for Halloween we might end up with a headless comet, which would be kind of funny. One state has done something to save the grid. I'm not going to touch that one. Yeah, yeah, no, and I know because I'll look at this. What is it? Like NOAA. Is it NOAA solar weather? Where they'll talk about the. I think on this one and some of the other ones they'll talk about like radio disruptions and like the longer frequencies and yeah. So it is kind of interesting. But it did cause some things, but I don't recall hearing anything about any power grid issues, which is good. Does that mean we're out of the woods? No, but hopefully they have made improvements. Because, yeah, I mean, the one you always hear about is the Carrington event from the 1800s. Like if something, you hear all these doomsday numbers that like if something like that happened today, it would cost like trillions of dollars in damage. But yeah, hopefully some things have been made resilient enough that that doesn't happen. But while I'm finding another target, I'm open to suggestions. And also, if you haven't liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing because it does help the channel. Do my obligatory thing. What do I want to try today? I do like this target just because I've never imaged this. Pelican. Let's do Pelican. Come on. Pelican Nebula. Oh no. See, I have like terrible skies here. Let me switch off to the normal. I just have terrible obstructions in my sky. In my backyard, like houses, buildings, trees, everything. And so unfortunately Pelican's about to rotate kind of behind this building. I can't believe it's already, is it even at the right time? Yeah, that's right. That's a bummer. And as far as, oh, sorry. Mosaics. Yes, I do mosaics. I had thought about kicking off a mosaic I'd been doing of the Heart Nebula, which is kind of, I mean, for the field of view of the Seestar, it's way too big. So I'd been doing a mosaic of that, and I had thought about continuing it today, but I'm not sure that I'm going to do it today. Maybe I'll do it later in the week. The northern coal sack. See, I don't even know if I can see the northern coal sack. Plus, the other problem is it might be too big. And northern coal helps if I could spell. Huh? Yeah, see, the problem is it's also about to rotate out of view. It's a real drag. Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah. No, I mean, but he has like a roll off of observatory, so and doesn't seem to have much in the way of obstruction. So, have I seen any aliens? I'm not at liberty to discuss. No, I don't think so. I don't remember. Yeah. ETIs. I like that. Yeah. What did I say? Somebody was like talking about aliens, and I was like, "You're putting everybody in danger talking about this on this channel." No. Which? Oh, mosaic. Oh, are you talking about the one built into not the one with Alp, but the one that's now built into the Seestar? Yeah, exactly. Memory wipe. Project Blue Book. Well, again, I'm not. Oh, the heart. Yeah. The heart is. It's good, but I have like an hour per panel, and I want to get so much more. Sanctuary City. I liked it in Men in Black, where wasn't it one of the premises like they live in New York because like they could blend in more easily there. Oh, with the Vespera. That makes sense. Most mysterious thing. That's interesting. While I'm pondering that, let me go find something to image. yeah, mosaics do test your patience. Although for me, um, being in the city, it really does, because some targets require so much time on them. I don't ride around on a Vespera, but I I do I do know someone who at least used to collect Vespas, um, but that's another story. I think he also had a motorcycle with a sidecar, which was kind of cool. It was like one of those, like, not Russian, but it looked like a World War II motorcycle with a sidecar. If I'm remembering that correctly. Again, like I say, it's not always pure tech in here. I I will go in random directions sometimes. What would be a good target? I want something brighter right now, because this is going to take a while to get something. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, yeah. That's what he had. That's totally what he had. Yeah, yeah. Again, very random, but cool. They're cool. It was so cool. I had actually briefly thought about getting one. Star. No, um, it's funny because for a split second I did too, and then I realized that Cosmic Ray was responding to my comment about the motorcycle, and that my friend had. Um, Gosh, what did I have here? What would be a bright one? Let me see. Part of me wants to do, what would be a really bright one? Like, um, the Wizard Nebula. I keep going back to that one, but I feel like that one could be good. The others are, a lot of these other ones are too big. The conditions aren't as good tonight. I mean, let's do Pac-Man. I haven't actually done Pac-Man in a while. I'll do Pac-Man. That's a pretty bright target, and that would be good. You can start getting stuff on that almost immediately. And I'll do it for 45 minutes, maybe. And I'll crank it up to 150 gain. And hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, this could be a problem. I'm going to have to. I'm not. Why is it on? Did I entered in. That's fine. I entered it in the wrong one. Retrieve. Actually, let me go. Image. Make sure I'm on the right telescope. This is the problem with imaging with two telescopes. Sometimes I'll put it on the wrong one. Luckily, it didn't do anything. Okay. So that should now be starting to do something. Hopefully. Okay. Okay, cool. I'll go to live view on this one. It should start showing something pretty quickly. No, it's starting. It's still moving to the target. Yeah, I vaguely recall hearing about issues with that. The sky seems pretty big. Not sure what you mean by that. It's just, I mean, I have a lot of obstruction, so it's only because it's like zoomed in. Fish Head Nebula, that's cool. Too many objects to fit from. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Actually, I like that idea. Spin the wheel. You sometimes come up with these things, and I don't know if they're half in jest, but I do like some of them. Um, Kind of like how, what was it? Google had that. Uh, it had the, what was it? The button like I feel lucky button or something, where it would just like pick a random website. I guess if you just wanted to look at stuff and you were out of ideas, maybe we could do that. But for observing, yeah, yeah. Um, I see more people on the stream right now than there are likes. So don't forget to like the video since you're here. Doesn't take any time, and or takes almost no time, hopefully. And it's much appreciated. It does help the stream a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Although, if it did, I'd be really disappointed because I feel like they should be much better. Just like those, what was it, those Samsung cameras that would have like the really amazing moonshot, even if you like take a photo of a street light or something. It's like, wow, look at that moon. Yeah. That one definitely was artistic liberties, perhaps. Um, okay, it's still trying to find itself. Yeah. Now the one thing, are you talking about inside Alp or inside the Seestar app? Turing test for images, yeah. And yeah, I know other people were the same way, but I've seen some of the new smart telescopes that are being announced or something or previewed, and it's like they're going to have AI image enhancement, which is fine because like there's astronomy software out there that will do that for like cleaning up noise or cleaning up like bloated stars or whatever, and maybe they're trained on astronomical data, but you kind of maybe know more what's going on because you yourself take the photo that you got out of a telescope and then you run it through the software, and so you kind of see what difference it made. But I think some people are concerned that if it's like built into the smart telescope where you never actually see what the raw image looks like, and it just applies AI to it, that's feels like there could be more easier for shenanigans to happen, you know. Um, Zoom in on the Earth more than they let on. Are you talking about the aliens or uh, or U.S. government? Sky Guide. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Government. Um, I mean, from space, yeah. I mean, again, not to go off into onto random topics, which I guess I always go onto random topics. But I mean, like, I mean, I read these public forums where people for years have talked about, they suspected that the capabilities were much higher than they were officially letting on to. And then, I remember I would follow these aviation forums, and they were like, when they phased out the Blackbird, the SR-71, because the Air Force said they didn't need it anymore. And, so that raised eyebrows, like, okay. But yeah, there's, when they're launching something that's, I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I'm not. That's like the size of the Hubble Space Telescope that's meant to be pointing down. Was that one of the Keystone satellites? It was pretty big. And it's like, it probably can do, more than they would And then a lot of the stuff, you know, they don't want to advertise it because they don't want other countries to, you know what we know. So, yeah. And then there was always that, yeah. There was that one tweet from a few years back. Okay, this is doing that thing that irritates me where it goes back and forth. So I'm going to switch off this for a moment. It has this thing where it goes back and forth between preview and stacked image, and it's very frustrating. This is definitely starting to show some nebulosity. Oh, and as far as the sky guide, I think that was kind of like the planning. This planning page was more aimed at, well, it's using astromosaic. So the idea was that you could plan a mosaic from here. So if I go M31 and I do like 3x3, 50% overlap, and so yeah, you can kind of plan the one thing is it's very touchy, but on my trackpad, but not on a mouse with a scroll wheel for some reason. Anyway, part of the thought was like some of the underlying stuff we're using for this could be made more general and more powerful. And it does have the ability to look up objects that aren't in the Seestar app because their atlas isn't as comprehensive. So I know we've, had this, there's been discussion about like making this more featureful and maybe making it, kind of more integrated in. I mean, it already is getting more integrated. Like you can pick this, like I've got this mosaic and I can just go like this and it's pre-filled out all the information, like how big the mosaic's going to be, how much overlap, the coordinates, and you just have to pick the time and, hit go. So with time. And I think it's also, it's kind of a dilemma because it's like it's open source software, it's free software. And so like the people who are working on it, half the time it's people are adding stuff that they want to see in the software or that they would like to use. And so sometimes we'll get people contributing kind of like one-off things where like they wanted something to work. They know a little bit of Python, and so they, do it and submit a pull request, and it gets merged in, and then they don't contribute further, and that's fine, and that's how it grows. But mostly it's stuff that's kind of people who it like I say, it's mostly to kind of for one's own needs. Now, a lot of the suggestions I personally get, I've been trying to put in kind of the issues for the project. So if someone else who contributes regularly wants to add something, they can just look at the list and add it. But let me go back to live view on this. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I mean they can I mean, but the thing is, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily need to do that from satellites, and yeah. I mean, and even with like the Earth science telescopes, I'm often surprised at what they're capable of doing, in a good way. And yeah, it's gotten well, and then something that professional astronomers use with like adaptive optics. So like looking down, you have the same problem of trying to compensate for atmospheric turbulence. What percentage of the sky has been mapped? More than maps of the undersea? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of funny. Like we know more, but even then, I guess it depends on what you mean by that, as far as like how much of the sky. I mean, like like the brightest things, the very brightest things that are like naked eye visible. Yeah, we know where what all is there, every direction, all the sky. But as you get fainter and fainter, there's different. Yeah, I mean, and even then, I mean, like the professional telescopes, and even then, okay, taking a step back, let me look at like what's it called, um, Aladdin. So I like this, um, because it's pretty good, and you can. It has a lot of these kind of survey maps. And what was it? Again, I shouldn't necessarily just know this off the top of my head, but was that the one? No. But yeah, like so I didn't pick the right one, but like these are all galaxies here, right? And if when I turn this on, the blue dots, and the thing is it comes in panels, so you don't always get um like it won't always map things, or it won't, like it's not that the rest of the screen doesn't have blue dots, it's just the panel hasn't come in yet, and the server sometimes takes a while. But like look at this, it's got like all these different points mapped, and like what they are, some characteristics of it. It doesn't necessarily have exact categorization of everything, but even then you have things like this. Like there's nothing on this. This is obviously a galaxy. Doesn't say, this survey doesn't say what it is. So then you go look at, okay, let me look at the Gaia one. And of course, sometimes this doesn't load, but I've gone through this where I had taken a photo with the Seestar, and there was a specific little speck there that looked to be a little oblong. And I saw it in here, and I was like, oh, it's definitely not it's not something fake. It's really there, and it looks like a I mean, the fact it's oval, it must be a galaxy. But I really struggled to even find information about it, and I've run into this multiple times. So there's images of it, but all these little dots here, some of them are stars in the galaxy, some are not. Uh, these different, like the Gaia mission, it's map it maps a lot of, it's a satellite mission that has mapped a lot of stars and their distances and properties about them. But like there's still all these objects you'll find where I mean, even with this telescope, literally with oh, I did it on the wrong, give me a sec. I was on the wrong window. Literally with these telescopes, I've imaged stuff from my backyard in Houston that I couldn't find in any catalog. And it's not that they were like, so like they show up in plates, but nobody's run like, they haven't analyzed it to see how far it is, what it, you know. So like they're always finding new quasars that have been on these. They're probably in some catalog, and or I mean, not even a catalog, it's a photographic catalog where you see a dot there, but you have no idea. Is this something near? Is this something incredibly far? You don't know. So, it's just, yeah, it's a process. Yeah. 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 Euclid. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing you get with some of these. It's like, and I saw, what was it? Speaking of Euclid, was that the one I saw? Let me go look at my history because it was really cool. I think did I bring that up recently? Um, what was it? Euclid? I may have brought that up on a previous. Yeah, I may have actually, brought this up before, but uh, so like this little video. Um, so yeah, this is an all sky of the Gaia, and then the Planck mission. You can see the dust in and this is like the full sky. And then Euclid will observe 1/3. So the orange. And they've done this bit of it. And it's 200 gigapixel. And it's so then so there's galaxies. And then they zoom in more. And so yeah, this is like a current satellite mission. And it just, yeah, it's crazy. It just like keeps going. And then it goes further. Yeah, this is, I like this one. But like, and then like, these are more galaxies. And some of these are like background galaxies. So these are already far. And then there's like ones that are even farther. Like these little things might be even more distant galaxies. So yeah. Yeah, that's the Euclid mission, and that just came out a few days ago. This video, and they're so this is the full sky in every direction, northern and southern sky, and yeah, and even then it's like they're mapping it, but they're still like they may not, you know, they may not have categorized how distant certain things are. Like they'll have imaged it, but then they have to go and like figure it out. Yeah, there's always something to image. A nebula have more than one designation. I mean, like they have different. Let me stop this. They have different catalog. So like they'll be in some catalog, or there's different catalogs. So you'll have something that's in the Messier catalog, and then the NGC which catalog, which is more comprehensive, includes it. And then there might be catalogs that are specific to certain kinds of objects, or they might kind of break down, like the Messier object might have referred to like Orion, the Orion Nebula, but then there's like clusters in it, and um, star clusters, and like different components that maybe in the 1700s they didn't realize all the different components of the Orion Nebula. And then you have the names, which some of those, I don't know where some of those come from. So yeah, like when you do the plate solving, usually they'll have several different names, or even like in Stellarium when I go look at it, like, look, this is the Pac-Man Nebula, or Lafitte's Grand Isle. Never remember hearing that one. But like NGC 281, it's also in the is that Sharpless catalog, SH2, LBN, and the forget what CED was. But yeah, it's just like some of them are Like they might be a nebula catalog or something, or yeah, so it'll have like a bunch of different designations. Yeah, yeah, that Euclid thing is just crazy. So you can be named, you can become, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, so when people discover things, like when astronomers, the main thing I remember that pops to mind that people discover are comets. Now, the problem is a lot of them are discovered by satellite and automatic surveys, but some are still discovered by people, and those will have their name attached to it. So, but you know, not all comets are impressive. So you could have your name attached to a comet, but I actually saw a talk by what was it, Levy, years and years ago. David Levy. Is that him? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he discovered like a lot of comets. Yeah, he discovered quite a bit of stuff. But yeah, I saw a talk by him like many, many years ago. And one of the comets that he co-discovered was the Shoemaker Levy that kind of broke apart and impacted Jupiter, which was pretty impressive. I don't know if AI per se, but maybe. Definitely computers help with a lot of it, especially solar system objects, where they can kind of automatically compare images and flag things that have moved from frame to frame, you know, over time. So yeah, definitely a lot of computer discovery of some of that stuff, and then also just like measuring these with instruments, but also like just, I mean, for them to catalog millions or hundreds of millions of objects, it's definitely, yeah, it's not. It's a team of scientists and computer scientists with a lot of computers crunching through a lot of images. Are we alone? That it's unclear. We're not alone on this channel, but no, yeah, no, it's not clear because Setterblad catalog. Yeah, Setterblad. You're right, Setterblad. For some reason, you know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of the ones that are Caldwell, but that's just C. I think those just go by C. So you see ones where it's just, yeah. Yeah, here, well, Messier catalogs, yeah, Messier was not compiled for the purpose and included many bright deep sky objects such as the Hyades, Sculptor Galaxy. It was actually compiled as a list of known objects that might be confused with comets. So yeah, there were different catalogs for, yeah, C is Caldwell. I was thinking of Caldwell, but that's just C. CED is, yeah, Setterblad. Is there something you're hoping to see or find? No. Well, I mean, I pick different targets and I image them with my telescopes and take photos of them and kind of, yeah, just kind of, that's what I do. And sometimes I find things that are brighter, sometimes things that are darker. This one's done, so I need to find something else for this one to do. I sure hope not. Wouldn't that be terrible? Like that would be like, imagine you discover a comet and you're so excited because like they're gonna name it after you, and it's like the one that is gonna hit Earth. That would be like, that would be bad. I mean, no. Rarest thing to find. I mean, like, I, I mean, professional astronomers, like they're often, well, not often, but they definitely will find these things that they're not necessarily one-offs, but they'll see something that hasn't been seen before, and then they try to figure out what it is, and then try to look for other examples of it. In some cases, they end up finding a lot. I mean, like it happened with, what was it? I think it happened with pulsars. Like they found a pulsar, and then they started looking and started finding more pulsars, and it turned out there's a lot of pulsars. Or the same thing with quasars. They like find one, and they realize it's really far away, but then over time they found tons of quasars. Yeah. And for me, it's also like I like these, and then I start coming up with different things to kind of challenge, and I still need to do the video about it, but the one where I was imaging quasars, and it started off with me looking at, it actually started with a galaxy that wasn't that far away. I mean, as far as galaxies go, and seeing something even further and trying to figure out what that was, that like where I was saying I couldn't find it initially, and then I finally figured out that it was like a billion light years away, which was pretty cool. But then I started seeing, well, what's the farthest thing I can actually image? And so that turned into like its own little quest of like, especially with the constraints I have, which was with a modestly sized telescope in a terribly light polluted city, Houston. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a funny way of putting it, but it's kind of true. It's like the stuff, it's like, here's a list of things you might think are comets, so avoid them. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. But amateurs have discovered exoplanets, which is, I think is crazy, because I remember I'm old enough to remember when exoplanets were hypothesized, but had never been uh, found. Yeah, yeah, 1992. So I definitely remember. Yeah, I was kind of, I wasn't quite in the field at the time, but I kind of was. And I remember it being hypothesized, but there had been no one had ever, and it was one of those things where, I mean, there's all these things we've discovered that, like back then when it, like visual astronomy still involved, like, it didn't involve sensors. It involved, or visible light astronomy involved film still, or plates. And so, yeah, it was like so many of these discoveries just seemed impossible back then. I mean, they were with the technology, but yeah, once they started discovering exoplanets, it just kind of, and the fact, I mean, that's something I've thought about would be kind of cool. And one thing I have done is, you know, what kind of things can I image with my telescope that are relatively recent discoveries? I mean, like Messier stuff, hundreds of years old, but like, can you image something that wasn't even known 20 years ago? I find that kind of interesting. And there's always new stuff coming up. Yeah. Aliens. Good evening, Turf. Thanks for joining. Yeah. It's quite a messy. Does it all seem random? Anything seem ordered? Oh, the sky? I thought you were talking about my channel name. I am very random. Well, so that's the funny thing. Let's go back. Let me find something else to image here before I go on to something else. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed while I'm looking, or not subscribed, yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. But if you haven't liked the video, now's feel free to. It does help the channel a lot. I do appreciate it a lot. I mean, astronomy doesn't always like I say, I was just trying to be consistent with the channel for the last year, and it's I've been I appreciate all the people who've watched my videos and joined my live streams and stuff. Like I say, a year ago, I don't think. I mean, when I posted that time lapse of the solar eclipse, the partial solar eclipse, I was just hoping, to get a few dozen views or something, that weren't family and friends. And so yeah, it's definitely appreciated and sorry, I'm trying to keep saying something while I'm trying to find something from my list. Hello, Steve Sullivan. Welcome to the channel. Or did you say something earlier? Sorry. Sometimes I lose track. I try not to. All right, so let's find something. Do we have any suggestions? Pac-Man. Now, granted, this is taken with a much bigger telescope, but M&M, Heart Nebula. I could do the fish head. I mean, that's a nice one. Let's do the fish head. That's a good one. Let me just double check my list to make sure there isn't anything. Because some of the others are kind of either dark or small or. And what was it I had? NGC 7293. Oh, the helix. Is that actually visible now? Well, let's do the helix. That's a nice target. Oops. That's a nice target. Oh, and this is the telescope that is better anyway. Image helix. And let's do 45 minutes. Let me double check I'm on the right. Yep, right telescope, and I'll do 150 and go. And hopefully this will work. Okay, great. Yeah, the helix is a good one. It's a nice bright one. And this one's doing pretty well. Like, it's not dropping many frames. It's keeping pretty, although I've usually had pretty good luck with the Pac-Man Nebula. Yeah. Yeah, Helix is nice. I mean, even given that I live in Bortle 9, some of the worst light pollution you can get. I mean, I've said this previously. I live in Houston, so not only am I in the center of not only am I in the middle of this massive amount of light pollution, but near my house, relatively near my house, I have three stadiums. Well, technically, I guess within 4 miles of my house, I have, oh gosh, wait a second, how, what was it? How far is that away? Wow, that's 4 miles away. Within 4 miles of my house, I have at least half a dozen stadiums. Within a mile of my house, I have at least one football stadium, including a university football stadium. There's I'm on the flight path to one of the 2 major airports in Houston. I'm not too far from downtown Houston. Like, yeah, I have pretty terrible light pollution here. And so where I was going with that is even from here, I get results from like the Helix Nebula that I'm pretty pleased with. Once it loads. Yeah. The Helix is a good one. But yeah, as far as random, it is random at a certain level, but there's the thing I find interesting about kind of is like the large scale structure of the universe that they're getting more of a handle on. And that there's like filaments and voids on very large scales, like hundreds of millions or billions of light years. And yeah, I think that's really cool. I mean, it is somewhat random, but it is very interesting. Like those kind of very large scale structures. Why is it? Sometimes it doesn't dismiss. I'm going to take a sip of. It's root beer. I've been on a root beer kick lately, and this isn't too bad. I mean, it'll get much more clear, but this is only a 2-minute exposure, so it'll start building up. I mean, this one is the Helix Nebula, which is it's a planetary nebula. It's one of the closest. Yeah, but it's basically a star that's been kind of shedding shells of gas. But yeah. How much time do I have on this one? Yeah, it's not too bad. I think I did 45 minutes on this one. But yeah, the Pac-Man's always pretty good. I mean, there's some noise here, but that cleans up when I process it. Yeah. Yeah, root beer floats. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason is when I was younger, I was kind of hooked on root beer floats. I have very fond memories of that. A&W root beer, I think, was one of them. I mean, it's one of the brands, but I think that was one of the ones particularly that I would have back in the day, or back then. Yeah, go to a soda fountain or something like that. Back a few years back. But yeah, exoplanet discovery would be really cool. So part of me, and I know there's some people. I believe I've seen people talking about doing it with even the Seestar. Like you have to take very accurate measurements. They weren't necessarily discovering them, but maybe getting extra data points. I was just looking to see if there was anything else I wanted to bring up. New telescope. This one I was we had videos about crazy telescope setups. I ran across another one, a triple telescope here. And I don't know if these are all like Rasa telescopes. I think they are. That's quite a setup there. Life goals to get some setup like that. But yeah, that's I like that. Oh, okay. Didn't translate correctly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I assume that's what you meant. Uh, although there's the expression, you are what you eat. So if you had a root beer float, that means you are a root beer float, right? Right. Maybe. Maybe not. But yeah, this definitely has a gradient on this with the red at the top and the green at the bottom and a bit of noise there, but still, it's not too bad. And it's neat seeing the colors, and especially this is pretty low in the horizon. Like, just to give you an idea, like, so it's here, it's basically between two houses. So not only do I have light pollution to deal with, it's like it's only visible for a short period of time before it goes behind another house. And so you have like all the turbulence and other stuff, and it's pretty low in the sky, but still cool. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Voyager. Voyager. Probably Voyager. Although Viking was around the same time. Um, the Viking was the one that landed on Mars, and if I recall correctly, when one of them stopped working, the U.S. NASA, like, I want to say they handed it over to the Smithsonian. So technically, the Smithsonian has an exhibit on Mars, but no one's gone and that we know of has gone and looked at it yet. Yeah, Voyager. Yeah, I remember that movie. That was another one. That was just a weird, and I mean, for me, that was especially back when I first saw it. I was like, "What, Voyager?" But yeah, yeah, you are what you eat. Yeah, 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 Viking. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I vaguely remember the Vikings. I remember the Voyagers more because they did most of their discoveries in the 80s. So I remember those more. They're still trucking along out there. This one's doing okay. Although the drop rate, I mean, again, I think it's because the conditions are bad. It's like low between two buildings. Who knows? But it's getting there. This one's doing pretty well. Like, as far as almost no dropped frames. Like I say, a bit of noise, but it'll clean up. Um, yeah, I had actually thought about doing some live coding today, but I don't know. I think I'm just kind of I had a yeah, I don't think my head was in a good place for coding today. No, it was probably. I mean, they launched about the same time, Voyager and Viking. I want to say because like they were both mid 70s. Yeah, 77. Yeah, 75. So they like it could be either. I mean, they were both around the same time, mid 70s. So the Messier catalog. Yeah, Messier. If he would have, yeah, he wouldn't have had much to do in Houston. He would have been like, oh, there's three things in the sky. Yeah, yeah. Voyager's did the was the first ones to go by Jupiter, and for a while it was like the only probes that had gone by Jupiter and Saturn, and and they are still, well, is it one of them? Is still the only one that's gone by Uranus and Neptune. So this one's done. So I can find another target for this one. Um, let's let us find another one. Um, let us see. Let me look at my list. There are some strangely named things. Like there was the spider and the fly, but those aren't up, or they might be up, but just uh, not above a house that I could actually image, where I could actually image it. So let's see. I think I've imaged this one, but this one's kind of faint. Yeah, fossil footprint. Problem is that one's kind of dark. Yeah, yeah, that's the impressive thing is that they're still transmitting, even though they're billions of miles out. Um, they're just at some point they'll stop though, because like I think the radioisotope generators will just finally it'll drop. I mean, as it is, I think they've been shutting off devices for years, or well, they probably did it, yeah, a couple decades ago to like because there's no point in having some of the sensors on because there was nothing to see. So, um, but yeah, and they're just kind of conserving power. So the cave nebula is up here, but I think the line is already out of sight. Yeah, that one, or it's close to being out of sight. Okay. So that one's out. Whoa. Ah. What did I just do? Sometimes I push these key sequences that end up triggering some weird action from Stellarium. Yeah, yeah. Voyager one's and it was technically the first thing that they say it like left the solar system because it was the first um, human-made object that, or at least that was transmitting that passed the helio heliopause or whatever. So it's out of kind of the bubble of solar wind produced by the sun, and it's now in interstellar medium. So uh, it was the first human-made object to do that. Yeah, Herschel. Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff, those early astronomers, like, yeah, it's amazing. All the stuff they discovered, but also, yeah, what was involved to discover this stuff. Um, I will do the fish head. I'll do the fish head. I'll do fish head. Unless I'm kind of hitting bright things right now and kind of avoiding any kind of what do you call it, mosaics for the night for today. So I see, yeah, so if I go back here and I can go image and fish head nebula, and we'll do another 45 minutes and we'll crank up the gain on it. And so, okay, it's going to the target, which we can watch. It's not real time, but it's at some point I'll update the camera to be more real time. But yeah, you can see a few stars. Some people have all sky cameras, and you can see the Milky Way, and you can see all these stars, but not in my sky. Like this is a 5-second exposure, and the sky looks blue, but it is definitely dark. Like the sun set. When was it? 3 hours ago. So yeah. Oh well. Your Seestar is stuck at loading image. Yeah. Yeah, so there's some changes I've been working on kind of redoing some of the code because there's a couple of problems. There's definitely some issues with it. It's a little tricky. Like the Seestar app, the application, you've got this um you have an app, a phone app, and it's like talking to the telescope, and it's got a connection, and it can have it can remember the state of things. But the problem is with a web app or what this is, I'm gonna have to switch. It's kind of it's more stateless. It doesn't remember what it had previously done, and plus trying to stream video on or update the image dynamically on top of that, and try to keep it simple where it works on phone browsers and stuff. You don't want to get too carried away. And yeah, combining all that, it ends up being a bit trickier than I would care for. That said, the initial version of Live View, I kind of, I was just trying to get it to work most of the time, but it is still flagged experimental because of the stability issues. And that's one thing I've been trying to address recently. Also because there's some code that I guess you can pull logs or some kind of alert stuff off the Seestar itself, and it uses a kind of a binary protocol as well, the same one that imaging uses. And so that code was kind of, the person who did that kind of made a copy of the code, but I want to try to redo it where there's common shared bits. Somehow I managed to just kick in my screensaver. Sorry about that. Luckily my computer isn't the thing doing the streaming. So or this laptop isn't the thing doing the streaming. But yeah, I mean, and then there's problems like how do you, if you have the target up on the screen, you don't want the back end to keep requesting new images, but actually detecting that the browser went away is kind of tricky. And so it all ends up being a lot more complicated than I would have liked, which is why I still have it flagged as experimental. Um, so yeah. Yeah, turn off the flash on the whole sky camera. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. There's like people look at that all sky camera and they're like, is there something wrong with the exposure on your camera or, or yeah, like what's going on? It's like, no, that's just how bad the sky is here. It's like for years I'll go outside if there's if I'm with somebody and I'll look up and I'm like, yeah, the star sure is pretty tonight, because it's like there's so few stars you can see. Um, S30 is there a preview of it out, or what? Um, the S30 being the new Seestar model. Has someone come out with a review of that yet, or a preview video of that? Just kind of curious. Um, yeah. So if there is some noise on this image, but you can definitely start seeing the kind of the fish head. It's basically this part of it, and as we get more, we'll start seeing more of the body. It's kind of faint right now, but you can definitely see the beginning of the head. One thing I was looking at, since I kind of do some of this, oh, interesting. And hello, good evening, welcome. Let me look that up. Um, yeah, okay. Let me look that up. Captures of the S30 right here. So this is the new one thing. So one thing it definitely has, it has a wider field of view than the S50, which we knew. But yeah, it's too bad they did it this angle and not like rotate it to really kind of capture more of it. But yeah, no, that's nice. 26 minutes. 26 minutes. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, here, right here. M31. 10 minutes supposedly. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, because that's the one thing with the S50 is you only get kind of like this center bit of M31. Okay, that's okay, and then you get more of the veil, but yet not the whole thing. M8. That's cool. Huh. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how that is. Yeah, I like that YouTube is recommending I watch my video. Oh, this is mine, so I'm not going to try it. What if I watch my own live stream within my live stream? That might cause problems. Waiting for the S5, yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people were hoping they'd YouTubeception. Yeah. Yeah, no. Like, yeah, that would be interesting. I I mean, it is behind. It is behind. Um let's see. It is behind a bit. But let's see, live. There we go. So I've got, I could go watch my video, and then we close the chat, and I can, let's wait a second or two for it to, there we go. And then you could create a wormhole. That's yes. I could create a YouTube wormhole, and let's watch it like kind of propagate down. See, it's not like Twitch where it's only like a second or two behind, but yeah, that would be pretty funny. It's like if I it's like somebody used my video on without my permission. Let me break out of this before I cause like a singularity or something. Yeah. Yeah. Do that on a Pi 5. Yeah, that would be that would probably break the Pi 5. Speaking of which, it was funny. After the last live stream, I did mess around with the Pi 5 a little bit more. Let me see. Infinite random. I mean, that's all. I'm already kind of infinitely random. But that I just make it official. Let me see. Is this right? Yeah. Let me see. I actually have. I was messing around with this, and problem is I can't really see this. I actually installed K-stars on it, and oh, that's what I needed to do. I forgot I can VNC into this. I actually had installed K-stars on here because I wanted to kind of see how it was. I also installed Stellarium, but yeah, as expected, the performance wasn't quite there. Let me see. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna switch back to this view, or I'm gonna try to switch back. It won't let me. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, it takes over. Yeah, that would be a problem. It's like you broke YouTube. I broke my stream. No, you broke YouTube. Yeah, that would be. Hello, Hein. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Pseudo RMF. Yeah. Benchmarks on the Pi. Well, I mean, it would be very fast because I've got the got an NVMe on it, but yeah, it's not broken as a feature. I mean, could maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that some other time. I've wanted to have like a tech stream, so not a tech, like a retro tech thing. You could just, sorry, I'm like, oh, now it works. Yeah, so on the Pi 5, I had installed Stellarium and K-stars. Oops. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, I actually have actually not too bad performance-wise for Stellarium, honestly. It's actually not bad at all. I mean, this is on the Pi 5. Of course, how do I get out of it? Exit that. I also had K-stars, which I've never actually run before. Welcome to the setup. Basically, what I was wanting to do was try to see what all I could run on the on a Raspberry Pi. So I had this Seestar Alp software running on it, but I was trying to see if I could just kind of load it up with, especially on the Pi 5, which is a bit faster. Of course, at that point, once you've spent the money on it, you could get a mini PC. Download extra data, sure, why not? Well, why wouldn't it include the IC catalog? Of course I'd want the IC catalog. OpenNGC, sure. See what other, oh, they have the Sharpless, which are the SH objects. Wow, they have a lot of stuff. Inline thumb edge. Anyway. But yeah, it's something I want to spend a bit more time working on setting up. And maybe, I mean, ideally, or one thought I had was trying to use that for a live stream. Oh, yeah, one recursive loop. I mean, the Wizard Nebula is pretty good. I think I'd be worried about the field rotation maybe starting to cause drops. Great stream. Glad. Thanks, Dave. Glad you like it. Welcome to the channel. And yeah, turn on notifications. I do. I mean, I stream like once. I mean, I try to stream regularly. And it all depends on the weather. I mean, because like I'm trying to image live with my telescopes here, and it's been we've had a stretch of pretty dry, clear weather recently, and it might continue into winter. So so 2 or 3 streams a week is quite possible. Yeah, Microsoft Office. That might bring it to its knees. Yeah, Flight Simulator. That would be interesting. Yeah, 1 frame per second. Yeah, yeah. I like that remote telescope on a drone to take it to darker skies. That's about right. That's about all right. Oh, good night, Michael Evans. Thanks for joining. Yeah, and but yeah, it's yeah, shipping my telescope somewhere, or taking it in a drone to clearer skies. But yeah, it's I've never actually run K-stars before, and obviously it didn't take what I asked it to do, because it says I'm in Greenwich, England. Where am I? I'm located in Houston, Texas. So like in the middle of the city, or just about the middle of the city. So like about the worst light pollution one can get. So like like these might be grainy, and for most people it won't be as grainy. So yeah. But on the positive side, like it just shows that with a telescope in a few minutes you can get an image pretty much anywhere you are now, these at least these days. Yeah. I like that. It's a ZWO DGI crossover. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah. And I mean, not even for just darker skies, just to get the telescope kind of on my roof so I wouldn't have to deal with all the obstructions. Oh, hey, live in Houston. That's cool. Yeah, it's that's cool. But yeah, I've pretty much central-ish Houston. Ran out of root beer, and I forgot that I had that other drink there. But this one's doing pretty well. The Helix here. I think I did 45 minutes for that, so it's got a few more minutes. And then this one, I think I also did for 45 minutes, so it's got a bit more time. So yeah. Oh yeah, kids are in the burbs. I mean, the way Houston's laid out, most people. That's where I grew up, and we have other family out there in the burbs. Am I doing it with light pollution filter off? I think I'm doing it with it on, but since you mentioned, I'm like, let me double check. Yeah, I have it on. Light pollution's on. Light pollution, light pollution is on, but the light pollution filter is also on. Yeah, yeah, it goes for miles. Yeah, yeah, like I have, friends and family 30 miles west, and friends 20 miles north and 20 miles south. It's like, yeah, just miles in every direction. And they're still, they're in the suburbs, but still well within the city. Oh, yeah, I imagine. Yeah. I, that's one thing. Yeah, it's flat, but it's so light polluted that you just don't really see stuff. It wasn't. It's been gradual. It's been gradually getting worse. This gradient. Um, and this one's pretty low in the sky. This one kind of has a gradient because you can see like it's green here and red there. It's like greener and kind of redder here. It's just not as bright. But this one is definitely higher in the sky than this one. This one's pretty low. So gradient's more pronounced. Yeah, doing a mosaic of heart and fish. Yeah, 2 hours gets no sleep. Yeah, yeah. That happens. That's one of the other reasons why I don't do, even if it's clear, I don't do live streams every night. Like I have to, I'll do Friday and Saturday back to back, but if it's clear, but otherwise I have to space it out because, and I even then I end up, I tend to not go much past midnight during the week, midnight local time, so U.S. Central, because it can, because by the time, like when I end the stream, I end up, I'll shut down the telescopes, go downstairs, pack them up. And then, I might go through some stuff emails or whatever, or Discord, and it could be like an hour or two later before I go to bed. So if I end a stream at midnight, I might not go to bed till 2 in the morning, which makes for a rough morning the next day, especially if I have like an early meeting. Yeah, 7 UTC. Yeah, I mean it's diminishing returns. Are you talking about my streams or the photos? It's a little bit of both, but yeah, definitely after a while, especially with the light pollution, it definitely feels like. I mean, because I've shot targets where I was trying to go for like something that was 17th or 18th magnitude, and it starts taking a lot of time in my where I am to get things that faint. Same thing with nebula, where I end up getting a lot of time before I get some data. I need to do cosmic ray like that, like was it STSS, and have a telescope in some dark sky location. At least one. I think even then I would want to have one here and one somewhere else at, just, I mean, not just for comparisons, but also kind of for realism, like, because not everybody has skies as bad as mine, but also people don't have like super dark. Most people don't have super dark skies either. So, oh yeah. No, it's I'm UTC -5 right now, and then once daylight savings time ends, it'll be UTC -6. So, but yeah, so I'll stay up till midnight local time. But then it's like I say, it makes for a rough next day, but I enjoy it. And plus, but what I was looking into, like I'm imaging these things and kind of gradually getting more data, but I was looking at and I've seen some people talking about this, where they do instead of normal or just an astro camera on a telescope, they'll have like an image intensifier, um, like a night vision kind of image intensifier, and then like have the sensor on there, so they can get they can do kind of like the, what do you call it, electronically assisted astrophotography, like much faster. I mean, or kind of, you're not necessarily going for like something you're going to process in serial, but you can like point it at a target and start seeing something pretty quickly. But I was looking at one of them, and I was reading this website, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And then I see like, oh, it was like a particularly nice night vision one. I mean, you can get the cheap green ones, but this was like a white phosphor one. It was like $4,000. I'm like, I think there's a lot of things I would get before that. But remote, 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 remote. Yes. There was actually somebody, I know I know of at least one person who's done it. Yeah. Was this the one? Was it this one? Yeah, they have it set up at that Starfront Observatory. Uh, yeah, yeah. So I know it's been done. Um, but I guess the biggest question I would have about it, and it looks like they have a Mac Mini there. The biggest thing I would have about it is like, how do you turn it on? I mean, if they have a hands-on service where they will poke the button on it, I mean that would work. But I guess if I were to do something like that, well, I'd probably lean towards having a different telescope, but if I were to do something like that, or even if I like left it at a family member's, which is what I've thought about doing, uh, I would ideally want some kind of button pusher, mechanism or wire something up where I could turn it on remotely. Um, but yeah, but it has been done. People have, or at least one person has done it. I know. Or am I imaging for myself? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I do different images. Um, I get suggestions on the live stream. A lot of it is stuff I just think of or I'm looking for. And I was kind of, I haven't gone through all of the Messier catalog, but I was kind of like slowly kind of going through it, and then NGC objects. And then I've, tried to, just do different things and try different things as far as like mosaics, or I'm trying to do, glob, like quasars, globular clusters, and then trying to work on processing it to see, basically trying to push it, both trying to capture things for myself, but then also like seeing how far I can push the hardware. But yeah, yeah, the $4,000 for the light. Yeah, you could get 8 Seestars. Yeah, so like in the case of I mean like with this ALP software, like I mean they have an internet connection. You could have like I wouldn't do it with a Raspberry Pi, but like this person had a Mac Mini, it looked like. Um yeah, they have a Mac Mini here. Uh and it's probably connecting wirelessly to this, and so you could, install like remote VPN software on it and be able to connect to it and then control the telescope remotely. Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, and like with Seestar Alp, you could do it, or you could use the tablet app on the Seestar tablet app, which would run on an M1 Mac. I haven't actually read this article in a while. I think I skimmed it at one point. I need to go reread it. Yeah, or station mode with the observatory Wi-Fi. Random an outdoor mailbox. I remember reading this thing. I remember reading this thing years ago. I shouldn't even say this. And it seemed kind of suspicious. The person was talking about like how to be off grid and or kind of under the radar, and they said just go to a rural area and add another mailbox and put a new, a sequential number on it, and then just start using that address. Because like in a very remote area, I guess maybe at one point, I don't know if it's still that way. Anyway, you could have a Seestar that looks like a telescope, and then just you know, I mean, the Seestar is kind of like that shape, and then you just kind of build a mailbox around it, and then no one would know. Yeah, yeah, SwitchBot maybe. Yeah, an extended Messier marathon. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, the Mac was there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those places. It's that Starfront place. That was the one where, um, like, like this is at Starfront. Um, this this setup, um, kind of further away from the Seestar setup. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, there's a slot to put the mail in. Yeah, someone tries to, you kind of camouflage it on a mail post, and then somebody tries to stuff an envelope in there. That would be, then you have to drive out and fix it because like someone jammed a envelope in it. That would be unfortunate. So while the fish is imaging, let's see what else we can do here. Let's see what else we can do here. Oh, this is about to be up. I mean, theoretically it's visible, but in practice it might not be visible yet, the California Nebula. But it's a little too big for the field of view, but maybe I'll image that. Let's see what else there I might want to image. USPS probably not approved. That would be funny. Okay. Actually, that was we were talking about like tiny ways of putting an enclosure around the Seestar, and I still had this on my browser history. A mini trash can could make a little a tiny observatory dome for the Seestar. But a mailbox, if you had motors on it, it could be like a slide off observatory for your Seestar, like this one of the smallest slide off roof observatories. Sorry, Chief Astro, and welcome to the stream. But yes, I was actually not dreading. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, but I was wondering. I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh man, I keep saying I'm going to redo the horizon, and I have a feeling he's going to ask me why I haven't done it yet. Do I share these images in the public? I mean, I have a website. I need to be better about putting stuff out there. And actually, there's this live stream that Cosmic Ray, I know, where the guy kind of uploads the images as he takes them, or kind of it's automated. And I was thinking I should do something like that at least, especially for like the raw ones, so you could look at them if you want to see what it looks like not through YouTube compression, you know. But yeah, and then I've like the Fish Head Nebula. I've collected, you know, probably a few hours of data for that, and I really need to circle back and process it. Yeah, Beth, Darth Seestar. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wouldn't take much. I mean, just it would be pretty low power motor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The live stream. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, and that reminds me, I haven't plugged it today. I am negligent here, but there is a Discord server if you want to join. There's yeah, it's we talk about astronomy and other random things, kind of like the channel. But it's let's see. There's the link to the Discord server. Oh, okay. Earth Sky. That's cool. Like this, yeah, like the stream, be a good nerd. I like that. Let's see, what is, it's like, I feel like sometimes it's just chaos here where like I'm trying to watch the chat and also watch the telescopes, and then I end up ignoring or missing what Discord. And so yeah, yeah, and it can be I mean, especially if you have a Seestar, yeah, there's it definitely can be helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Space thing. That's cool. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mailbox. Hello, applesauce. How's it going? I need to find something for this telescope before this one ends, and then we'd have two idle telescopes, which will not do. Let's see. I could do. See, I feel like I've imaged that recently. Get your launchers. Yeah. I mean, a good meteor shower can be really good. Of course, where I am, it's I see so little of the sky. I mean, like it's hard to really. It's really hard to capture how bad it is, but like in Stellarium, I mean, this is looking with, this is the horizon right here, but this is the part of the sky I actually can see from my backyard where the telescopes are. It's just abysmal. So that's why it's sometimes a bit of a challenge to figure out what I want to look at. What's that one? Okay, yeah. Deneb. Actually, object of unknown nature. I always like that. Like it has classification for most of them, but then every once in a while you'll run across one that's just unknown. I mean, maybe an hour away from Sam Houston Wilderness, because yeah, yeah, I live in a single. There are people who are like to have a worse view, you'd have to live in the bottom of a well. Yeah, Seestar Park in Arizona. Yeah. I mean, think about the density you could get for that, of how many telescopes you could fit in one space. Oh, that's awesome. Rural Wyoming. I mean, it's not like Wyoming in general is that busy, but rural Wyoming is, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay. What do I have here? I love the names. Again, I think I mention it almost every night. Patrick Starfish Cluster. The Embryo Nebula ended up being kind of a disappointment. The name caught my attention, but in practice it was just kind of too dark, or yeah, not bright enough especially for my skies with the Seestar. Yes, it really does suck. It really does suck. I mean, that's why I end up spending. It isn't for dramatic effect that I'm like, what can I image? It's more like, what can I image? I mean, I do the same thing when I'm not streaming. I'm like, what can I actually see? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, the ring is, I mean, I imaged it a little bit ago, but it's almost yeah, it's still there. I imaged it for about 45 minutes, but um, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, no, A3 for me. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I had to go somewhere else. I went a short distance from here, and I was able to see it naked eye last week, barely. Um, but yeah, from my backyard, it was impossible because like there's no view to the west. Like like you notice here, west is like I can barely see past the meridian towards the west nor southwest. So it's pretty rough. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. Forget about it. Yeah. Hopefully that'll be. Hopefully it doesn't. It hasn't completely fallen apart. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, between not being able to see the horizon and barely being able to see even just normal stars. Yeah, I'm not. There's not going to be any. Probably unlikely to be any discoveries from from here. I could have, or I could just have like a radio tower to image from. Fossil footprint was kind of a dark, dim one. See, and then the baby and heart nebula. I'm trying to find something that actually would like where I could image most of it in one frame, like kind of a Goldilocks object, not too large of an object, not too small of an object, not too dim of an object. That's what I'm kind of looking for. And also something that I haven't necessarily imaged recently. I mean, the good thing is with time, all this stuff starts rotating. So like, actually, let me see. It's getting to the point where when will that be visible? Like, yeah, maybe. So that's a couple hours from being 2 or 3 hours from really being visible. But like, yeah, it'll be nice once like Bode's galaxy, that'll be like a whole nother target. And also like the Pleiades are starting when I'm imaging late. They start rising. Actually, yeah, and there's the Hyades, but that's like at 1:30 in the morning. So in another month or two, some of those will be uh, in a better position for the live streams. The see, take out a tower. I vaguely recall something about that, but I don't always watch the news, even if it's something that happens here. The only problem with the triangulum is it's so dim. Like, I mean, it's low surface brightness, and especially from my very challenging skies, it just ends up really lackluster. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is my roof is like 2 stories up, so that would be yeah. What could he hope to accomplish? Silver sliver, that might be good. Let's try that. Let's try that. I haven't done that one. I mean, I did it at one point, but I haven't done it recently. So silver sliver. Oh yeah, and that's a great. It's well situated, high enough in the sky. So, and these are both idle now. So let's do it on this one. Um, and I'll do 45 minutes again, 150 gain, no light pollution filter because it's a galaxy. And good night, Cosmic Array. Thanks for joining. Have a good evening. Yeah, the Goldilocks. Um, I mean, it will be nice heading into the winter where we start getting more targets that are. I mean, I am looking forward to doing the Pleiades, imaging the Pleiades, and actually even some of these objects I've started imaging some of them, like the Flaming Star Nebula. Um, like that actually looks pretty cool, and the Spider and Fly actually work pretty well. Like they're bright enough that and because it's two different objects, it's kind of nice being able to image both. What is this one? That is a very large object, and it has no catalog name. That's always interesting. Um, Forgot I have my night shift turned on. I need to turn that off. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. It's but that's okay. Orionids are later this year. Or late this year. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be I have wondered about that, with some of those things. It's just going to be a matter of time. Just like what was it? It was something where some satellite did some, I don't know if it was a satellite or a rocket did some, oh, I can't remember. It was like it did an upper atmosphere kind of propellant release or something, and it ended up like, I forget what it was. It created not quite. It created some like really interesting sky effect. Oh, okay. Call it a night, dark skies. Thanks for thanks for joining. Oh wow, 20 an hour last night at 3 a.m. Well, that's cool. Oh wow, interviewed one of the principal scientists. Oh, what do you blew a hole through the stratosphere? Yeah, no, but it wasn't that. It was more like what was it? It was oh man, see, this is driving. Actually, what I need to do is figure out what I'm going to image next. But um, what was it? It was like what was it? Rocket. It was almost like an aurora, or maybe it was deliberate. Yeah, actually, it was deliberate. Oh no, was that it? I thought it was something else. Well, that's not what they did, is it? That doesn't seem. Oh, they created this. That's cool. This wasn't the thing that I was thinking of, but yeah, there was something else. I remember it was where they had done something and it produced some weird effect that people were reporting, like, what in the world is that? Um, oh, okay. Earth sky. Okay, you mentioned Earth sky, and I wasn't grokking what you were saying. Oh, cool. Nice. I'll have to check that out. Um, but yeah, and that one was a sounding rocket. But there was something else. the details are fuzzy to me. I want to say it was like a rocket that launched from Vandenberg at the time, Air Force Base, and it was either the launch itself and the time of day it launched, or there was some kind of propellant release or something, and it produced something that was like really unusual looking, and like a bunch of people in LA saw it or something. This was like, I want to say this is like 10, 20 years ago or more. I don't even remember the details. That's why I was like trying to find it, but then you end up going down rabbit holes. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, it might have been a fuel dump, maybe. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of, and it like produced some weird kind of light. People were wondering what the heck it was. Um, yeah. What was it? So what do I want to image? Maybe I do start the California Nebula because it's not bad. And I had been imaging kind of this further up area of it, but now I think I'm going to image maybe this area of it. Maybe. Or do I want to try to pick something like in here? Yeah, maybe around here. So let's do that with this one. Schedule, no, not schedule. I'm going to image, grab that. It's going to be California Nebula. And I'll do it again for 45 minutes, 150 gain with light pollution filter, and go. Yeah, it was something really, really unusual. Although that does sound plausible too. That was when Elon Musk was hatched from that. Alaska sky spiral. Vaguely recall that. Maybe not. Oh, that. Wow. That would definitely have freaked people out. Holy moly. Yeah, that almost doesn't look real. Yeah. I could imagine people kind of, yeah. It's kind of like if you saw something, if something like that happens in a movie, it usually doesn't end well for the people who saw it. The guiding star over. Oh man. Yeah, the problem is the veil isn't visible right now. It's blocked. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been reading stuff by Eric Berger for years. I should check that out. Yeah. LED, it's like right. Um as far as Starlink, I mean there's always satellites, and it's definitely become a lot worse of a problem. Um when I'm viewing it live, I mean at this point I think most of the it's too late where like the satellites are in Earth's shadow, I think at this point. But definitely I'll have ones where it'll go through, and on the live view it might kind of stick around for a while. Uh, but then sometimes it'll average it out. But then if you process it after the fact, usually it averages it out, and it won't it doesn't ruin it. Luckily. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I've actually had, yeah, I mean I did crank the gain up, and this C this Seestar is the one that's particularly, it's got a cleaner sensor, I think, not like in the sense of dirty, but it seems to produce less noise than the one on the right. I mean, you even see it here. Like you'll see these artifacts, and these aren't anything that ALP's doing. This is like coming off the Seestar itself, like that red, like that. That's like a red pixel. That's always like the dark frame can't even get rid of it sometimes. I mean, it gets when you process it when you post process it with like serial, it goes away, but it's still got more work to do to. I mean, it has to work harder to clean up this image than the one on the left. Yeah, satellite season. Yeah, I mean, I do think about how the thing that blows my mind about astronomy, and I mean, sometimes I'm surprised at how long ago some of these things were discovered, because I know like the quality of the optics wouldn't have been great in the 1700s. But the thing that I guess still gets me is that we didn't even know that these distant things were galaxies until 100 years ago, like until Hubble and contemporaries. Like it was the Andromeda Nebula. Like I guess they thought it was a distant nebula or something. Like that part I find amazing. And then, there was a lot of progress. And then I feel with a lot of the like electronic sensors on the telescopes, and space telescopes, and not just like Hubble and JWST, but like all the other ones uh, that are just cataloging lots of stuff and observing, and X-rays, and then the stuff they're doing with radio telescopes, like being able to image black holes now. It's yeah, like yeah, even again, like with the exoplanet thing, like when I was, you know, an undergrad, it wasn't even like a thing. That wasn't even, it was hypothesized, but no one had ever detected one. And the fact now that I don't even know how many thousands or tens of thousands we've imaged at this point. I mean, detected at this point. It's just it's amazing to me. Yeah, that this one's not too bad. It resulted in, I mean, I zoomed in on it, but still it got data pretty quickly. I mean, it's just got 10 minutes on it. It's actually not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, giant speculum mirrors. Yeah, exactly. Like I was somewhere, and I didn't end up going there. It was in the UK, and I wanted to go to, was it Herschel, where Herschel was? Like there was some place you could go, but I didn't end up going there a number of years ago. But yeah, and that was the other thing, like that, it unlocked a whole bunch of other stuff, like, oh, wait, these things aren't part of our galaxy. They're much, much farther away. And oh, most all of them are receding from us. Why is that? And that just like the fact that in the early 1900s, like that wasn't even known, any of it. And then just relatively rapidly, all this stuff kind of got figured out. It's amazing. Yeah, 30 million light years. Yeah, not bad. And this one, I mean, it's subtle, but you can definitely see the kind of the California nebula. Then, I mean, sometimes these take a bit of data, but I do like kind of, you get, I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell unless you know what you're looking at, which is why a lot of times I'll go back to the photos to get an idea of what I'm seeing here. But like you can see kind of the dark band, the dark bands, and then the kind of more prominent red along the edges. I mean, it's so much fainter, but like it just started going, and with a couple hours of data on this, it would start looking pretty decent. Yeah. 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 Herschel scope still there. Yeah, that was, like I say, I think that was what I was somewhere, and I was like, I didn't end up going, but yeah, and that's the other, that's the other thing, like how it all ended up, a lot of it got tied back together. It all really kind of came together. um, and that was the other thing. And then you go back to like quantum physics, which was also early 20th century. And like the thing I was reading about the voids in the universe, and like kind of the modeled appearance on the cosmic background radiation, and how that might have been quantum fluctuations in the early universe that then, with inflation, in the inflation era, ended up getting blown up to hundreds of millions of light years. That's just like, yeah, still kind of wrapping my head around that. Oh, hello, Seiko. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. It's good evening for here, and good afternoon for you. Yeah, California Nebula. But I mean that sometimes, a lot of times when I'm doing this, I try to have one easier target and one that's a little bit more subtle, since I can have two on the screen at once. And this is definitely the one that's a bit more subtle, but yet, because I can do it with a light pollution filter, it's that definitely helps with my skies, where I mean, yeah, emission nebula is definitely, um, I guess I was pleasantly surprised, or I've been pleasantly pleased at how well contemporary, even relatively modest, um, light pollution filters can work. How well they work. I mean, compared to back in my day. Yeah, yeah. I like watching that PBS Spacetime. That's a great channel. That's and some of that stuff, it's, yeah, it ends up being um a lot sometimes to process. Yeah, it's interesting, because I feel like for the price, it's definitely a good value. I mean, I should say, it's, yeah, it between, I mean, you've got like an ASI Air and a Astro camera, and it's got a filter, a light pollution filter, and a telescope, and it's battery powered, Wi-Fi, all in a fairly compact package. And I think, thanks to software and just the fact it's all, like, you can, I mean, like right now, these telescopes, I'm on the second floor. They're like if I had a window, I could throw, something down on them. They're like downstairs. And the fact I'm able to, like, control them from down here, and yeah, and image, like, this is them just on a couple of Skywatcher tripods that I had for other mounts I have, and I put them on there just because the stock mounts are so low to the ground. But and then they're both plugged into a battery bank, or like a power station, so they don't I started doing that when I first got them in the fall last year and into winter, and there'd be a lot of dew, and I would end up running them with the dew heater on all the time, and yeah, it would that would kill the battery pretty quickly. So I started just getting in the habit of always having them plugged in um, to the power bank. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Like I can't even. I mean, I did film astrophotography in the and back in the day, and a thousand or 1600 ISO was the best we could hope for. And although people were like, yeah, they were doing chemical kind of augmentation of the film to get more out of it, but then you end up having to do like your own dark room stuff. Yeah. The boss doesn't like it when watch YouTube at work. Yeah, I can imagine. No, that's fine. That's fine. Right. Blue Lash, Chris, storyteller living in the library. Yeah, you need a new boss. Houston is. Yeah, I mean, the one good thing is we've had some fronts come through, and it's kind of dried out the air a bit, although the humidity is kind of returning now, and has for the last couple of days. Um, but yeah, it definitely, I'll definitely end up running the dew heater on a lot before the end of before too long. I'll end up having to use the dew heater again. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm been yeah. Sometimes I end up going past way past midnight, but tonight, or I'll go till midnight some nights. But I'm not sure that I'm going to go quite that late tonight. Um, I'm not tired yet, but I think I have some. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But that said, I always try to. Sometimes I will try to figure out if when at least theoretically I could do my next live stream, and it actually looks promising. Oh God, that kills me though. Like tomorrow looks good, but I don't know if I could do it back to back. Maybe if I don't go as late tonight, I could do another one tomorrow. Otherwise, like this bothers me here because it says it'll be cloudy and then it'll clear up. But what often ends up happening is it ends up slipping, and so it'll end up being cloudy at the beginning of the stream. Um, so I might do one tomorrow, but I'll have to check. I'll see in the morning if it looks like if this changes and Friday ends up being better than it is now, or what it's showing now. I might end up doing a Friday one instead, just to do that every other day thing. And the weekend looks good, so I might do a Saturday one as well. Because I will do Friday and Saturdays back to back. Just yeah, you always pushing it, yeah. Um, but yeah, I will. One thing I want to do is more with the Raspberry Pi. I just need to figure out what that is. I've run Seestar Alp, like the software on it, and I need to play around with the K stars and Stellarium a bit more on the Pi 5 and see what I can realistically get away with. Because one thought I've had is, I mean, people will run. I mean, sorry, the ASI Air is basically like a Raspberry Pi, and people will take off the shelf Raspberry Pis and kind of kit them out with different software to kind of do similar things. And since I have this Pi 5, I've been wanting to kind of do that with the Seestars not just have the ALP running on it, but see what else I can run that might be interesting. And um, but so I need to figure that out. And I might, next live stream, I'll probably go back and do continue doing the Heart Nebula mosaic again. And really, I need to go back and grab all the data I've already taken and start processing it, just to kind of see where I am with it. Yeah, BlackBerry. I remember BlackBerry. I actually have. I never had a BlackBerry. But yeah. So I need to do that. I want to do that. Continue the mosaic. Maybe I'll find something else to do a mosaic of. The problem is I want to do a mosaic of that one dark nebula, one of the Barnard objects. Like, I think it was Barnard. Was it 150? Oops, wrong key. Yeah, the Seahorse Nebula or whatever. It's a dark nebula, which makes it more challenging. But really, to capture it, I need to do a mosaic. But unfortunately, I think it's in a position where I really can't image it right now. Yeah, no, it's too close to one of the darn buildings around me. Yeah. I need to see, maybe I wonder if I'll be able to do it. If I end up doing a Friday stream, I wonder if I'll be able to do an experiment. I've mentioned previously that I've got things set up now with Seestar Alp where I can connect to a remote Seestar Alp, which is connected to its own telescopes. And then I can kind of bring that into this view. So I could have a remote telescope and a local telescope, and I might end up, the skies wouldn't be darker, but I might be able to leave one of these telescopes somewhere in the next, if I can pull it off, that would be cool. Because then potentially, if everything worked well, I could do a live stream and have another Seestar, granted, and with similarly bad conditions, but at least I could see more of the sky. So I'll have to see if I can get that together in the next couple of days, because that would be cool. The other thing is some people have volunteered remote telescopes, so that's another thing. I want to test it out with mine first, but then once I do, I might try to bring in another telescope and do the thing where I was talking about having like one with terrible light pollution and one with much less light pollution. Yeah, I should. I need to. I need to be more methodical about that sometimes. Actually, before I wrap it up, there were some other things I was thinking about. I forgot to talk about. I was gonna see what else has come out in the last few days. I think it's mostly been bug fixes. Yeah. I think it's mostly been bug fixes. Nothing new, but there's a few new features I think in the works. One that hasn't come out yet is the ability to edit an item on a schedule. But there's a couple other things that I think will help with planning and maybe kind of tracking, remembering observing sessions, so you can go back and look at what you've already observed. Ideally, it would be nice if there was some way of kind of having a list to bring in. Yeah, no, unfortunately. Oh, you mentioned that. No, I didn't. I made the change, but I haven't pushed it back in. I need to do that. Let me make a note. What Seiko is referring to is there's so live view as a whole is kind of feature flagged by this configuration setting called experimental. And so I have experimental turned on, and there's a few of these menu items that are have are kind of hidden behind the experimental flag. One of which is that planner. One is the live view, but another one is the configuration screen, which ironically lets you turn on experimental mode or turn off experimental mode. So you have to go in and edit a file instead of being able to do it through the UI, which is kind of ironic that you can't edit the experimental flag in the UI without the experimental flag on. So let me see. Things to do. Commit local change for experimental flag for config. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, it's a feature. Yeah. I mean, part of it was kind of my fault. Not my fault, but I mean, it is my fault. When with the imaging stuff, it was a little too raw when I committed it, but people were, because the problem is I was posting screenshots of what I had, and people are like, "Oh, I want to try it out too." I'm like, "Okay," but I'm gonna make it so you have to like edit a configuration setting and turn on experimental, because it was even flakier. It was prone to like hanging and stuff. I mean, nothing like destructive. It just it's a reverse engineered kind of binary protocol. So it was a little rough in the beginning, and it's written in Python, and so it's like doing, byte unpacking and asynchronous threaded stuff in Python. Anyway, but once I added the feature flag, then others who were adding stuff that they weren't 100% confident in, they put their stuff behind the experimental flag. And so it's like, yeah, so it ended up kind of not quite snowballing, but there were a few other screens. There's now a few other screens that are flagged as experimental. So I think I may go ahead and I'm going to give people warning about it, but I'm definitely going to turn that flag or make it so that at least you can get to that screen without needing to edit a file. Yeah, I think these are both set to like 45 minutes. So this one will be done in about 12 minutes, and then this one will be done in about 15-20 minutes. And I think I'll probably end the stream after these are kind of wrapping up, just because yeah, it's sort of a rite of passage. But the problem is, I guess, like it definitely was more there was definitely a what do you call it, there was definitely a bar when I first started using it, where it was just the API, and so you had to kind of use an API tool or whatever to kind of control the software that this third-party software that controls the Seestar or Seestars. And so that was but as it's become more approachable with the web interface and some of the new features, it's kind of it's a balance. I mean, working on being one of the people who contributes to an open source project and then trying to make it approachable for people and somewhat as stable as you can, it gets tricky. I mean, it's tricky enough when you're doing it like commercially, but when you're doing it kind of ad hoc, volunteer, a bunch of people, or several people kind of working on it, trying to make it not as much of a rite of passage is can be definitely challenging at times. But yeah, it's fine. But we'll but yeah, making it so you can edit the configuration without turning on experimental would definitely be good. I mean, and part of the reason that I mean, it's one thing when you're kind of like right now I'm running it on my computer, just like in a window. Okay, I have a lot of debugging information turned on, pay no attention to that. But yeah, like I have a lot of, like you're running it locally. It's easy enough to edit the configuration file with File Explorer and an editor. But if you have it installed on a Raspberry Pi and you're not kind of like the scenario where you're kind of outside, you have the software running on here, you're controlling it with a phone or a tablet, you don't want to have to SSH into it and like edit config files. So having a web interface for doing it is helpful. It wasn't the highest priority, but now that it's there, and it's gone through a couple of iterations internally, but I feel like we should just turn it on. I mean, make it non-experimental. So at least people, if you want to change some settings, you don't have to break out the SSH software. So yeah, we will see. But thanks for reminding me, Seiko. I need to. I made a note. I'm not going to do it unilaterally. I'll ask some people what they think of it, and then I'll probably do it anyway. Not that it's my project, but I have a habit of doing that where it's like, nobody came up with any strong objections, so I'll go ahead and do it. It's the easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Anyway, but yeah, this is the Silver Sliver has turned out quite nice actually. I mean, again, like I say, this is zoomed in, but not too bad. And I think like if I were to process this and do drizzling, it would be even nicer. Boca Chica Beach is now open. Must be done for the night. Yeah, I imagine. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate it. I mean, there's times where I do live coding, but I try not to do it the whole time. I've actually joked about having like a separate stream just for that, just to try to not have it all in, when I'm mainly observing. But yeah, thanks for joining. And we'll see you the next time. Yeah. Yeah, if you did. I mean, you might end up getting frustrated enough. You might have to break down and start learning Python, Seiko. Yeah, no, great. And I'll check out that the YouTube channel. I want to check that out. Thanks. But yeah, I said I wanted to call it an evening early, or not stay up too late. But I don't know that it was the best idea to start drinking an energy drink at 11 p.m. It might not be, even once I end the live stream, I might not be going to bed for a while. Oh well. But yeah, this one's, yeah, only 6 minutes away from being done, and this is only about 12 minutes from done. So, oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Cool. That sounds really interesting. Yeah, and if you haven't joined the Discord, definitely check that out. The I always have to do the obligatory plug. It's the Discord server. So if you feel free, yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, so this is going well. And this is starting to show some stuff. Like it's starting to, I mean, this area is kind of a dark void. Not a void, but maybe it is a void of California. What? Oh, it's because I was, yeah. So I think it's okay. I think it's this area. So it just needs more data, and it'll start getting brighter. But yeah, it's starting to get some shape to it, and some of the features. But again, it probably will take a lot of data to really do it justice. Let's see. It's just ridiculous how few stars there are. Yeah. And then this I swear this must be a neighbor's light, because it's definitely not the moon yet. The moon is still below the horizon. That's great. So if I do a live stream on Friday, I could go pretty late and not have to deal with the moon at all, which will be good. And we might actually have a front coming through Friday, which might clear the air a bit, like, and which might help the transparency. So that'll be good. But yeah, I think I might part of me doesn't I may not wait till the very end of the imaging. I might just start wrapping it up now. Honestly, thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate it as always. And if you haven't liked the video, please like it and like and subscribe, because it does help the channel. And if you want to join the Discord, there's a link in the channel description and in the chat. Still want to add some to the dyno. Yeah, that's right. I did actually give you guidance on where to edit it. Oh man, Chief Astro, you're still. Oh man, it is late for you. I mean, to be fair, it is a weekday for me, and I have meetings in the morning, sadly, so I try not to stay up too late. Now, if it was Friday and I went to Friday night into Saturday morning, if I went to bed before you did, that would be a problem. But but yeah, it's not that late. I mean, honestly, if it was, yeah, if I didn't have stuff in the morning, I'd be up till probably your time, or the time of day it is where you are now. But yeah, this one's about done for the night, or done. Yeah, this one's only a minute away from finishing. Actually, I just want to double check. The SNR is a 101. Yeah, I think we need to, the SNR calculation still needs some work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean it's yeah, all over the place here. But and the California Nebula is still about 8 minutes away, but I'm not necessarily going to wait the 8 minutes. I mean, I'll let it stop imaging, but it might be after the stream. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. But yeah, if you haven't joined, if you haven't liked the video, join the Discord. A number of us, there's a few people on the stream who are, and definitely me. There's a number of us who are there on a regular basis, different times of day and night, and swap talking about astronomy stuff. So it's growing channel, growing server. So yeah. So this one finally finished. So I will probably leave it at that, and stay tuned. I'll probably either live stream either tomorrow night, but hopefully more. I say hopefully because it's I can go later on Friday nights. So I might end up. It'll be one of the other, either Thursday or Friday. So again, thanks for joining, and I will see you in the next stream. Thanks.